The more happy you are, the better you are and the less likely you are to be a dickhead. Hit me up with whatever questions that you've got. We're just doing a random live. Like, I've literally just got a few minutes. I thought, normally we do like either a Hey Kerwin or normally we do a Tough Love. And I was like, you know what? I would love to just have like a really relaxed chat with the community and have a chat with you guys and see what's going on.
Let's get through like as many questions as we can.
Yeah.
So,
should we do it like fast track?
Yeah, let's do it. Ryan Shuck, Kerwin, touch more on motivation and drive and what it takes to get to the top.
Look, motivation and drive, very interesting questions. And for me, motivation is one of those things that is often required for people who don't know what's important. Motivation, if you look at the root word of motivation, it's a motive, it's a reason for, it's a reason to. And motivation is really being very conscious of the reasons why and your reasons. Oh, we got a fucking bug here. The reasons why you do what you do, the reasons that drive you. And so for me, when people aren't motivated, when people don't have drive, they've typically set themselves up in an extrinsic fashion. There's a great book on motivation called Drive, The Surprising Truth About What Really Motivates Us by Dan Pink. And he looks at motivation based on, there's three forms of motivation. You've got old school carrot and stick, which is really industrial age levels of motivation where people are motivated by the promise of a reward or the threat of some form of pain or what we call carrot and stick. Carrot tastes good, okay, it's nutritional. Stick, you're going to get hit. And that worked really well until it didn't. And then we look at the other forms of motivation. You've got extrinsic, where people use things on the outside, which is a form of carrot, it's a form of stick. It's basically carrot and stick. Extrinsic is the things on the outside that we use to either scare us into doing things or inspire us into doing things. But the challenge is when you're extrinsically motivated, then all the factors need to be right. Everything, the whole world needs to show up in a very specific and particular order in order for you to go, okay, now I can be motivated, because you're extrinsically focused. You're focusing on things outside of you. And for me, that is a recipe for disaster, because as you know with life shows up in a range of different colors, in a range of different rainbows, and a range of different issues that come in. Some days it's a rainbow and the rainbows come about as a little bit of a light tinkle, and some days the rainbow comes after you've had a massive storm. And so for me, you can't be waiting for life to show up in the perfect order in order for you to be motivated to put yourself into gear to do what's required. And that's where intrinsic motivation, that's where the internal drive comes in. And so for me, that's something that needs to be developed. That's something that needs to be built. And for the most part, it's really fundamentally developed at a level of infancy, toddler, and early adolescence, but it can be repatterned and reorganized as we grow up. You see, the cool thing about our brain, it is very plastic in nature. It's that we have this neural plasticity where the brain can essentially reorganize itself. And so the way that we reorganize itself is by looking at the things internally that are important to us. And that's where understanding what your values are. Because what a value is a motive. It's a reason for. And the more you understand around yourself, the more you understand around the things that really motivate you. And I'm not talking about social values, because this is one thing I see people do all the time. They focus on money. Money is a social value. They go, well, money's important to me, and it's actually not. Money, it's not something, because honestly, I've seen so many people where they've had the prospect or the promise of money, yet they still haven't been able to be motivated at the level that's required to do what they needed to in order to get the result. And so money is a terrible motivator. In fact, people who are motivated by money, typically based on the research from Dan Pink's book, are 8 times more likely to engage in deceit, deceptive, and fraudulent-related behaviours. And oftentimes the promise of money will create a very short-term spike in performance, but a long-term deficit below what the benchmark was beforehand, because it's something on the outside. And that's where intrinsically you've got to be connecting with purpose, something that's greater than you. What are the things that you love? What lights you up? What do you think about? What do you fantasize about? What are the things that when you do that you lose time and space? And how can you connect the things that are already consciously important to you, your values, to the things that need to be done? Because when you can see that connection and you can do that repetitiously, those neurons start to connect, and you start to see a connection between hard work, grit and resilience and the work that needs to be done, and you being able to spend more time with your family, having greater levels of health, having greater levels of freedom. And when those two connect, then it becomes almost automatic by virtue of you don't have to try to become motivated. All of a sudden, you just are motivated. And it's not something that you do, it's something that you are, and then you are free. Motivation is an autonomous behavior when it's done well. Is this too much?
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
This is like, preach.
Preach, baby, preach. So to me, and again, that's why to me motivation is the best form of motivation is when it's autonomous. It comes from the inside. It happens naturally. You don't have to read a book. You don't have to do a move. You don't have to click your fingers. You don't have to read a book. You don't have to go to a seminar. You're just fucking motivated. You know, to me, a great form of extrinsic motivation is you go to a seminar or you read a book, and that's extrinsic. It creates what we call the suntan effect. You go to a seminar, you get all hyped up. You're like, you come back and people go, there's something different about you. And you go, yeah, man, I just did a fucking seminar, bro. And then 2 weeks later, you're back to your pasty self. And that's what happens with seminars. People go on holiday, they come back, they're brown. 2 weeks later, they're fucking white again. You know, people go to seminars, they get pumped up, and 2 weeks later, they come back and they're fucking not pumped up again. So for me, you know, you can go to seminars to learn the tools as long as you're not addicted to the environment of a seminar in order to be motivated. So for me, motivation is an inside job. Motive, your reason for doing things. Find out why you do what you do. Find out the things that inspire you and connect the things that need to be done with the things that inspire you. One little tip for motivation. Fortune 500 list, I call it the Fortune 500 list, whereas if you're trying to get something done and not motivated to do it, write a list of 500 benefits you'll receive as a result of doing it that connect to something that's important to you. So if you know that family is important to you, if you know that freedom is important to you, if you know that security is important to you, if you know that health is important to you, as an example, then create 500 reasons why doing the thing that you want to do or need to do will give you more of those things. And then you create 500 new neural connections in your brain that start to fire. And the more you read that list, the stronger those connections become. And then before you know it, they're firing for you, and then you have autonomous behavior. So take that one to the bank because it really is quite powerful. What's next?
Andrew Lewis, or actually we have Mo Judd. He says, I thought this was a fast track, Kerwin. Get back on that track.
What?
He thought like the fast you said it was.
It's supposed to be fucking answering 100 questions at a time. Yeah, well.
Andrew Lewis, Kerwin, would you ever go into space if presented?
Yes, 100%. I would love. I'm a psychonaut, man. I would love to travel into space. 100%. Like my son, my son and I, we talk about going to space a lot. We talk about Mars. We talk about colonization of Mars. We talk about space travel, space holidays. So 100% would love to go to space.
Nice. So here's a question on parenting from Curtis Tofa. How do you change the patterns of an 8-year-old that constantly lies and eats bad food behind its parents' back?
Well, the first thing I'd do is if your child constantly lies, I'd be looking at where they learnt this behaviour from. You know, kids by virtue of their behaviours typically model this behaviour from things that they see. And that becomes the things that they learn and the things that they adopt. Now, that's quite confronting as a parent because, you know, can you imagine if you're a really honest parent and you're always doing the right thing and then all of a sudden you've got a kid that lies a lot, which will probably be most people's default response. Well, I never lie, and that's a lie and it's fucking self, isn't it? Let's be honest. But what you've got to understand is like the relationship that I have with my son when it comes to dishonesty, because dishonesty is a spectrum, because down the very low end of the spectrum you've got jokes. I'm just joking. And then as you move up the spectrum, you've got white lies, and then you've got full-blown omissions and deception and, you know, fraudulent behaviour. And, you know, if you've got an 8-year-old passing bad checks, you've got a real problem here. But my point being is whenever my son jokes, white lies, or actually genuinely lies, and it comes out, which it always does, he never gets in trouble. Now, I know this is going to sound strange, but I never actually punish my son for lying. But what? Why would you not punish your son for lying? In fact, I reward him when he tells the truth. Because what I want to do is I want to create this construct that when my son lies, that he feels safe to tell me the truth. Because oftentimes when people lie and someone finds out, what do? You lied to me! You lied! Oh my God, you broke my heart. Oh my God, you're a liar. And they shame people. They guilt people for lying. It's like, well, fucking bro, I just told you the truth and now you're beating me up. And you may go, well, I found out the truth. Depends on the context, right? But if someone has the balls to come to you and tell you the truth, don't fucking ever shame them. Don't ever guilt them. Reward them. Acknowledge them. Go, fuck, that really hurts. And I can appreciate hopefully you can appreciate how bad I feel right now with you telling me the truth because you lied to me. But at the same time, I want to say thank you because I'm really grateful that you actually took the time and it was important enough for you to tell me the truth. Because all of a sudden, when my son lies and I say that to him, he's like, and he'll go, I'm sorry, Dad, didn't mean to. And I say, it's all right, buddy, that's okay. I just want you to know you're always safe to tell the truth. Because the last thing you want to do is create a scenario where people are afraid to tell the truth because people lie. That's what people do. I've studied deception for like 15 years because I was so afraid of because I'd been lied to before in relationships and business and everything else. And so I went on this massive path of wanting to learn and be able to decide and decipher deception at a linguistic and a body language level. And I was obsessed with it. But what I realized was, when I explored it, is every fucker lies. Everyone lies, because it's a spectrum of dishonesty. Because some people go, I never lie. Do you ever say nasty things to yourself? Do you ever say, I'm fat? Do you ever say I'm ugly? Do you ever say I'm stupid? Well, yeah, they're fucking lies. You know, we all lie. It's just context-driven and filter-driven. And it's understanding that by virtue of like living, because to me, one of my highest values is open and honesty. And so I constantly encourage, and I'm constantly approaching and constantly demonstrating in my personal life and in my professional life that is the baseline standard. So for me, really look at the context of honesty, really look at the context of the relationship the child has with telling the truth. But if it's stuff that you're finding out and they're not telling you, again, I'd looking at, because sometimes you might find things out, but I'd be sitting down with the child and I'd be asking them why and getting down to their level. There's a great book that I'd recommend by a good friend of mine, Dr. Vanessa Lapointe, Discipline Without Damage. It's a really powerful book on learning how to discipline a child without damaging them psychologically, because, you know, lying is one of those things that kids do it. They live in a fantasy world. You know, they want to play with things, they want to stretch the truth, and they've got to learn how to navigate that space safely, so that they can, you know, their imaginations can grow. Because, you know, what's interesting, this the final point, one of the things that I've observed with Noah is lying often has been born out of imagination. I saw this with my son, because he would say something, I go, is that true? And he'd be like, yeah, Dad, it's true. And I'd be like, no, it's not. And he'd go, yeah, it is. And I'm like, hang on a second. It's actually true for you, because your imagination is running fucking wild. And by me trying to tell you to stop it and telling you a lie, what am I doing to your imagination? What am I doing to your creativity? Again, reframe, deframe, look at it from a different perspective and realize that, you know, it could just be a phase. Talk to him, nurture him, give him the love, make him feel safe to be able to tell the truth, and, you know, you'll be amazed at what can happen. And it's not going to happen in fucking one conversation. It's going to take time. It's something that's going to be repatterned over a period of time. But I hope that helps.
Awesome. Lao Tzu, what would be your best advice to exude confidence?
Lao Tzu. Lao Tzu?
Lao Tzu.
Oh, how do you spell that?
L-O-T-E-S-E-T-U.
Oh, Lotusy. Lotusy. Lotusy.
What would be your best advice to exude confidence in front of a big group of people, if you're coaching them, for example?
What is the best piece of advice for exuding confidence? Yeah, look, it depends on where you are in your journey. Like there's this old saying called fake it till you make it. And I'll be honest with you, I'm not a big fan of it, but it is quite powerful from a physiological perspective to be able to understand, what does it feel like to sit with confidence? You know, what does it feel like to stand with confidence? Because confidence is not only a physiology, meaning a structure, a physiological structure. It's also a biochemistry, meaning that there are certain neurochemicals, hormones, and biochemicals that run around the body when you feel confident. But there's also a psychology to confidence. So if we look at confidence in 3 areas, there's a psychology to confidence, meaning there's a certain thought process. Okay, there is a biology to confidence, which means that there are certain chemicals that are running around the body. Okay, and there is a physiology to confidence, meaning the body is held in a very specific way. And those three things just tie in together. And when you can get those three things together, man, you're just confident. But when you don't have those three things together, you've got to start putting the puzzle pieces together. And the first piece of the puzzle is, what am I thinking about right now? What are the thoughts that I'm training myself and conditioning myself and programming myself with? Oh my God, I'm terrible at this, I'm hopeless at this. Or do you have to lie to yourself, which is often what's required when you're lacking confidence, and you have to convince yourself that you're good at something even when you're not. Which is what I had to learn how to do in almost every area of my life, because I fucking failed every subject between year 1 and year 12. Okay, I am ADHD, I am dyslexic, I was addicted to hard drugs at the age of 17, and I was kind of a little bit of a fucking loser in the eyes of the rest of the world. Severe anxiety, debilitating anxiety, and a whole host of other issues, that abandonment issues. Fuck, let's just dive deep. I won't say I had it all, okay, but I had a lot of shit, and so I had to literally reprogram my psychology by looking at the language that I was using on a regular basis, and start to, rather than allow the language that was already there, that was given to me by someone else, to start keep circulating in my head, I had to start writing down a list of, well, what are the things that I want to think? You know, I am a master of persuasion. I am a master of my mind. I am a master of sales. I am a master of leadership. I am a master of my own power. I am a master of focus. I am a master of discipline. I have a photographic memory. Everything I see, hear, smell, taste, touch, and read, I recall with crystal clear accuracy, and the like. And I literally started to create a list of things, and I started to program my mind. But then I also learned how to stand. I learned how to stand. Like when you want to stand confident, shoulders back, chest up, chin up. That actually creates a biological response, okay, a biochemical response. Okay, and when we combine the psychology with the physiology, then the biology takes care of itself. But you want to make sure as a part of that you're actually supporting your biology to do that. Meaning, are you eating well? Are have you got good hydration? Have you got good supplementation? Because if you've got the right psychology, okay, and you've got the right physiology, but you're fucking overweight and unhealthy, then you're going to struggle for confidence because it's going to be your biology will be fighting against you. So they're the three most important things. But also realizing that you can build confidence through what I call exposure therapy. Expose yourself to the things that make you feel lacking in confidence. And every time you do it, focus on your psychology, focus on your physiology, and your biology will respond. And every time you start to feel the point where it's too much, then step away, go away, and go do something else. And continually do that. Repeat that, repeat that, repeat that. And what happens is slowly but surely you start to learn how to develop confidence for longer periods of time to the point where you can put yourself in a very difficult situation to maintain very high levels of confidence. Hope that helps. You guys are amazing. What's next, Matthias? You know what? I actually like this. I think we should do more lives, like relaxed, having a chat with you guys. How you guys going? Are you good?
Do you feel like you're living your purpose right now, Kerwin?
I am right now, in this moment, 100%. Deanne, no, I don't actually write any books about what I'm teaching. It is coming. Hello, Shauna from Michigan.
That'd be cool, a little Kerwin book.
Yeah, a little Kerwin book, a little book of Kerwinisms. Tom Rafferty, what supplements do you take? Mate, I take omega-3s, so I've got omega-3s here. I take vitamin C every day. I take Cartitone, which is like a high-strength magnesium supplement on a regular basis, especially at the change of seasons. I take Astra 8, which is an astragalus mushroom mix, which is really good for, fucking immune system. I also take Mushroom 6, which is also a mushroom, a combination of different fucking Chinese mushrooms that are quite potent. L-theanine. L-theanine is really good. It's actually a nootropic. Great little product here. It also helps regulate the brain, harmonise the brain. It also helps with sleep if you have insomnia. I also take, what else have I got here? I take Brain and Memory Power Boost. Not all the time. This has got L-carnitine in it, and I'm very sensitive to stimulants. So I got this from the Amen clinics, working with Dr. Amen. I take one pill every now and then. It's basically like a cup of coffee, but without the caffeine. I also take CBD oil, CBD isolate. Thank you to LIARS. It's a Charlotte's Web one, but LIARS, you can check them out on Instagram. They provide this for me. And also a little bit of lion's mane. But things that I have on like just have around is like my betadine throat gargle. Because like anytime you get a little bit of an itchy in your throat, gargle this shit, it's gone. Like I am the master of fucking knowing what to take when it's required. So yeah, they're my supplements. All right, golly gosh, good gosh. What did you just say there? Good gosh. I am like my mates call me the pharmacist or the shaman, depending on the context. How do I feel about CBD oil? Anthony, I feel amazing about CBD oil. I'm someone that's got 3 traumatic brain injuries. CBD oil now is making a very strong, it's making its presence known very strongly in the medical community. By the way, CBD is the non-psychoactive component of cannabis. It has a whole raft and range of different benefits. It creates a really beautiful state of homeostasis in the body. It's very powerful anti-inflammatory. It's really good for if you've got digestive issues, bowel issues, irritable bowel syndrome. It helps with the inflammation in joints, arthritis. For me, I have an arthritis in a knuckle that I injured when I was fighting when I was younger. It helps beautifully with that, but it's also a neural protectant. They're actually now using it, and they've got a lot of research that has demonstrated it's been great for stroke victims or people that have been subject to hypoxia, which is oxygen deprivation in mice. I think it'd be a great treatment for oxygen deprivation at birth because the research that's come through with oxygen deprivation for mice at birth has been incredibly very powerful. So I feel very good about it. I think it's a very powerful medication and a very powerful supplement. And I think, it's incredible. Oh, I also, just as a little side note here, I can't say the word cured, but I actually got a melanoma on my neck last year. And what was interesting, I got a melanoma on my neck last year, went to the doctor, and I literally... after they took the scrape, I started putting CBD oil on it. Within a month, the melanoma was gone, and it was actually gone by the time they excised it. There was only like a couple of melanoma cells in there, but the whole black thing had gone, and the doctor was like, "Wow, like I didn't know this could happen before." So it was actually quite interesting. It's great for sunspots, skin cancers. It's got anti-carcinogenic properties. Very powerful. Very big fan. All right, what else is going on? Someone else asked here something about Yes, CBD is excellent. Can find some products that have no THC. Yeah, look, you want to be making sure if you're going to be taking CBD that you find something that is absent of THC. Otherwise, you might be getting a bit of high on your own supply. But THC is also a powerful substance that can be used for anything from an appetite stimulant. It's also great for people who suffer insomnia, and also for people who there was something else there as well. I can't remember what it was. Pain. Yeah, but it's also, people say it's not a drug of dependence. I disagree. I was actually addicted to cannabis, so I do think that cannabis needs to be approached with a high level of caution, because yes, it has incredible medicinal benefits, as do many forms of different forms of natural and synthetic pharmacology. But at the same time, I have met dozens, if not hundreds, of people that have had addiction issues relating to it. So it's not something that is absent of its own challenges. You've just got to be careful with it, like everything else.
Final little squeeze in here for Instagram.
Sure. What do you got on Instagram?
Bayanis Electric.
Hey, Electric.
How do you gauge success other than other people's praise and value?
You know, it's a really good question. In my earlier years, I used to really gauge success based on a couple of things, how I felt, how I looked, how much money I had, the amount of acknowledgement that I received. Now, for me, that has changed so incredibly, because, it's got to the point now where, we do very well, we make a lot of money, and the more money I make, the more I realise it's not about the money, and the more I realise it's not about the money, and the less I focus on the money, the more money I make. Go figure, right? But for me now, success really comes down to fulfillment. It's like, how do I feel about myself? And I had some challenges like at the end of last year and early this year when it came to fulfillment, because I was working my ass off. Business was incredibly successful. We're changing lives, changing people all over the world. But I realized I wasn't learning. And so one of the things I realized for me, part of feeling successful is being able to learn new things that fill me up, because that's what creates a level of fulfillment for me. And having a level of freedom to be able to do the things that are really important to me. So success is different to everyone. Success for some people is health. Success for some people is a great relationship with their partner or their mum or their dad. But for me, success is a state of mind. And the greatest success that you can have is happiness. Because people who are happy are 78% more likely to succeed in their pursuits. And so for me, most people are pursuing things in the hope that once they get there and they achieve something, then I'll be happy. Okay, but what you've got to realise, you've only got a 12% chance of being happy, or 22% chance of being happy if that's your operating mentality. People who are already happy are so much more nicer to be around, so much more fun to be around. They're just generally better people, and as a result, they have greater levels of mental health, greater levels of interpersonal relationships, greater levels of consciousness. Happiness really should be the metric for me anyway. I think happiness really should be the metric for success, because the more happy you are, the better you are, and the less likely you are to be a dickhead. Is that it?
That is a wrap.
Is that a wrap? Instagram, mwah, mwah, I love you. Should we do this more? Not hey Kerwin, not tough love. To be honest, I'm getting a little bit tired of tough love. Yeah, I'm wanting to do more organic. Do you guys like the organic nature of this conversation? I've been thinking about this a lot. I think, one thing we've not really done really well on, and Maddie tells me all the time, is the lives. And so I want to do more lives, but just random lives, just organic lives. So you guys are awesome. Love you to bits. Facebook, my first love. Instagram, if I was polyamorous, you'd be my number 2. I think you guys are amazing, but thank you for everything. Let me know below if you enjoyed this style, this level of kind of relaxed nature. Any other questions you've got, we can put them into our Hey Kerwin as well. Make sure you say hi to your mum for me. Bless you guys. Love you.